Meyer, now the official new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, just coming down in the last couple seconds. This courtship, which has lasted several weeks, included the firing of Doug Marrone, is now over and final. Urban Meyer, officially the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, just got a statement from owner Shad Khan calling this a great day for Jacksonville and Jaguars fans everywhere. He said Urban Meyer is who we want and need, a leader, winner, and champion who demands excellence and produces results. As Khan continued in this statement, while Urban already enjoys a legacy in the game of football, few will ever match college football, obviously. His passion for the opportunity in front of him here in Jacksonville is powerful and unmistakable. Owner Shad Khan finishes his statement, "I am proud to name Urban Meyer the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars," agreeing to terms a couple minutes ago on a multi-year deal. Urban Meyer back in the state of Florida and now finally in the NFL.
90 miles away from Gainesville, where he won a pair of national championships leading the Florida Gators, and then a few years later would win one in Columbus as the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. What do you get the sense is on the priority list here for Urban Meyer now that this deal is officially done, Ian?
Well, there's still so much to do as far as Urban Meyer just settling into Jacksonville. I know we have staff questions. Who's going to be his offensive coordinator? Who's going to be his defensive coordinator? I was told to look to college football for a lot of his hires, which would make sense. That's where Urban Meyer has made his name. That's where he's lived for the last several decades. So we will see on where he finishes out his staff and how he fills it. And, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars still need a general manager. That expected to be someone with Urban Meyer's fingerprints all over it. Some names we've mentioned. Trent Baalke, the current interim GM for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he is someone who will get consideration. Ray Farmer, who got to know Urban Meyer pretty closely when the two were in Ohio. That would be another possibility. Jerry Reese, the two-time Super Bowl winning GM of the New York Giants. He is another one to consider. A lot to get to, but the most important piece of this just was official and finalized by the Jaguars.
Urban Meyer, the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ian Rappaport giving us the news. Thanks very much, Ian. Appreciate that. And as we continue to assess what this means for the Jaguars and for the AFC South in general, as the Jaguars have their new head coach, let's bring in Andrew Hawkins and Scott Pioli. Guys, we talked about this a little bit already, but Scott, just your initial reaction of this courtship and why the Jaguars felt like Urban Meyer was the right guy.
Yeah, I'm excited for Jacksonville because they've got one heck of a good football coach. And as we heard earlier, Urban is the CEO. He knows how to be a CEO. He knows not only how to coach, which is important, but he is a tremendous leader of his assistant coaches and the total program. Urban has a system, he has a process. He's going to bring that to Jacksonville, but I also think he's going to be smart enough to bring some NFL people around him that can help him fill in some of those gaps. But the bottom line is the Jacksonville Jaguars have a tremendous football coach who not only knows scheme, he knows how to lead, and he knows players. So this is a very, very good day, I believe, for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, and I think him getting those NFL coaches around him and people with that experience will be super important because it is going to be a little bit of a different beast, not just from going from college to the NFL, but also trying to change the culture of a place that is used to losing. Trust me, I played for the Browns. I've been in that. I've seen how hard it is, and we had new coach after new coach come in and preach toughness. And what would happen is the veteran players would be like, toughness, wow, we never thought of that. Everybody says that when they come in the door. So being nuanced, making sure you're starting from the ground up, getting the GM, getting the coaches around you, making the right decision at quarterback will be pivotal for what this looks like a couple years down the line for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Guys, I want to bring Ian Rappaport back in here real quick. Ian, what more do you have to add here as Urban Meyer now becomes official as the head coach in Jacksonville?
Yeah, and first of all, this wait, which we've had for Urban Meyer, really has lasted several weeks. I mean, we've known that he was the top target for the Jacksonville Jaguars really since before they fired Doug Marrone. No real surprise there. But there were several key candidates who also interviewed for the Jaguars who now know that they are not getting this job, considered to be one of the top jobs on the market. Robert Saleh, for instance, interviewed for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously not getting this one now. He has a second interview with the Los Angeles Chargers. That's going to be tomorrow. Eric Bieniemy, another name interviewed for several openings. Raheem Morris, another name interviewed for several openings as well. So the Jaguars is now done. You begin the dominoes of trying to figure out who is going to be the next head coach elsewhere. One thing we know, we already know the Jaguars head coach. He landed at 3 or 4 p.m. today and just finalized a deal a couple minutes ago.
The first hire of this coaching cycle now official. The Jacksonville Jaguars have Urban Meyer, still 6 head coaching openings out there in the NFL. All right, after the break here on NFL Total Access, we are going to continue our coverage of the Jaguars making Urban Meyer their new head coach. Of course, been wildly successful on the college level. What will it look like in his first season as an NFL coach? That's next when we come back here on NFL Total Access.
Culture to me, I know there's many definitions. Culture to me is, what does your product or what does your team, what does your organization look like? What does it feel like? And what does it act like? And not necessarily when you're winning by 40 points against FAU. It's what's it look like in a rivalry game? What's it look like and feel like and act like on 4th down and 2, or in the stock market turns upside down? And culture it's got to be the vision of the CEO or the head coach. And you can't waver on your culture.
That from a past conversation with Daniel Jeremiah, Bucky Brooks, and the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, now Urban Meyer, talking about the culture it takes to win consistently. He's done it everywhere he's been, and now charged with that task in leading the Jacksonville Jaguars to prominence. And with that, let's welcome in our former NFL scout, Bucky Brooks. He was just there on the Move the Sticks podcast, and of course has had a chance to talk to Urban Meyer a number of occasions over the course of the last few years. Bucky, what was your reaction to Urban finally making this leap into the NFL as the next head coach of the Jaguars?
I think Urban Meyer is the right coach for the Jaguars where the program is. I think the Jaguars needed a program builder more than they needed a play caller, meaning they needed someone that could reestablish and set the culture in the building from top all the way down. Create a vision for how this franchise needs to operate. Create a set of standards for the kind of players that they want to bring into the building. And then create a vision for how this team is going to play out, not only to win the AFC South, but to eventually be a contender in the AFC. And so when you look at Urban Meyer's track record and the success that he has had with and without resources, being able to go to Florida, Ohio State, have success at Bowling Green and Utah, I think he certainly has a tried and true formula that works for success. I think now it's about adjusting to the NFL game and getting this team to buy into that vision.
Well, that's exactly what I want to talk to you about, because in that conversation that you guys had with Urban last year, he was talking about his plan for instilling that culture in Jacksonville. He talked about kind of a 3-point process, right? It was a relentless effort, it was competitive excellence, and then the power of the unit. You played in the league. How do those tenets play inside an NFL locker room coming from the head coach?
Oh, I think it plays very